Hey, welcome everyone. So students are still joining, so give them around like 5 extra minutes and we'll start the course or today's lecture in next 5 minutes or so. So just hang in there, give everyone some fair time to join. All right. So if any of you want to talk or have any questions before we wait, like as we are waiting for other folks to join. So if you have any question or anything, and if you want to talk, you can just raise your hand and I will give you permissions to talk, or you can always type in your question into the chat window. Hello, Amit.
Yeah, yes. So is it a daily training or it's only on Tuesday?
So the initial plan is to have this training for 2 days because I'm not so sure like about the cadence. Like there are so students from different backgrounds, so I'm not so sure about their background exactly. So initially this course is meant for just introduction to AWS Cloud, and so the plan is to have it for at least 2 days, and it will give you the basic overview of what is cloud computing, what is AWS, and all those sort of things.
Okay.
All right. So there's
Yes.
one more question from Harshvardhan, that how will be the course will be beneficial. That's what we're gonna cover today. So just hang in there for a few more minutes and we'll jump onto it. So for the other attendees, like we are in a webinar mode, which means like I'm the only person who can talk, and others you can just listen to me and you can see the things like screen share. If any one of you want to talk, you can raise your hand and I can give you permission to talk. If you have any question, you want to bring it up. So raise your hand or type your question in Q&A section of the Zoom. So there is one more question. Will the lecture recording will be available? Yes. So I'm streaming this live on YouTube, so you can always watch it there. So I already posted the link in the WhatsApp group. So that recording will be always there on YouTube. I think we can start now. So before we start our training, so I'm gonna do a quick poll, and it will ask you just one question, like that. So that way, it will give an idea. Like we have people from like what background. So I launched the poll. So on your screen, you will see a question that uh, I'm currently doing. So if you're in high school, choose that. If you're doing like junior college, like 11th or 12th, pick that. If you're pursuing your engineering, tick that. And if you're a working professional, working for any after your graduation, you're working somewhere, so pick that option. So for the folks who just joined or not sure what's exactly going on, so on your screen, you'll see a question that about asking more details about you, like what you're currently doing, your education background, and all those sort of things. So just pick the appropriate option for you. So I'm waiting answers from few more folks. So once everyone done, then I can end this poll. And for the folks who just joined in the last 5 minutes or so, so if you have any question, this is in a webinar mode. So if you have any question, please use Q&A section and type it in your question there and I'll answer it. Or if you want to talk, just raise your hand, click on the raise hand button, and I'll give permissions to talk. I'm going to end the poll. All right. All right, so let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. If yes, just click on raise hand button. A few of you, you can click on raise hand button. So I'll just get some kind of confirmation that you can see my screen. All right, perfect. So yeah, so welcome everyone to today's program or today's webinar, which is the main purpose of this webinar is giving you guys introduction of AWS Cloud. And this program is organized by Fly High Consulting. So in this, so this slide is kind of old, but the main purpose of this course, so initially I used to do a weekly training, and the main purpose of this course is what is AWS Cloud and the basic global infrastructure of AWS Cloud, then AWS Cloud architecture principles and value propositions, and AWS platform and their common use cases and all that. So this is kind of just a theoretical info. I will not go much detail into here. So I'll give you more details about like what is Fly High Consulting. We are mainly a consulting firm who help like who mentor students to pursue their higher studies in USA. And apart from that, that's how we started, like mentoring students to pursue their higher studies in USA. And then after that, we decided like we kind of expanded and we now mainly gives the career guidance and technical trainings to mainly to the engineering students. And if any of you want to contact us, our email address is info.fhconsulting@gmail.com. All right. So normally, like these are the few trainings that we offer. We offer multiple technical trainings for certifications path with different IT companies like Amazon, AWS, Cisco, and Microsoft. So to name few, we conduct CCNA training. For Amazon AWS, we conduct solution architect, SysOp administrator exams, and all those sort of things. And most of you already gone through this link. If not, let me just bring it up again. So any of you aren't part of the WhatsApp group, so you can click on this link and be a part of WhatsApp group. Then there is another thing, like we already have a Facebook group, and this is the last link for the Zoom course, the Zoom online training. So the purpose of WhatsApp group is like where we can communicate more quickly if there are any changes to the time or dates regarding the course, that will be communicated here. With the Facebook group, like I eventually like post their recorded lectures, or sometimes you can connect with similar minded people, and you can share your, if you're preparing for certification exam and all those things, then it will be easier for you like to get connected with similar mindset folks. All right. Then let's go back to our screen share. Or you can always put your questions on WhatsApp group or Facebook group, and that's what this slide mainly says. So let me see. So all right. All right. So the main thing, that's why we are here, like why cloud computing? What is cloud computing and all those things? So let's jump into the actual thing. All right. So why cloud computing? What is cloud computing? So let's jump into that. So before cloud computing, so someone will say, oh, everything seems to be working fine, and why we need this cloud computing and all those sort of things. So let's jump into that. So before we know like why we need cloud computing, so we need to first understand how things are getting done before cloud or without cloud. So let's take an example that you want to host in a website, or you want to create your mobile app or something, or you are working on a software or something. So basically what you will need to do is, first thing first is you need to buy a stack of servers. So I hope everyone knows server, what is server, but I'll just like tell that a server is nothing but a powerful computer. In layman's term, you can call it as a powerful computer. So in order to get started, you need to buy one server, or depending on the scope of your work, you need to buy 2 servers, 20 servers, or 200 servers. Then the next thing is, keeping the peak traffic in mind, you need to buy more servers. So for example, you just created a basic website, like an e-commerce website. And now you have your infrastructure up and running just with, let's say, 2 servers. And you're planning to have a major sale, let's say a Diwali sale. And what will happen now with Diwali sale, you'll have more traffic on your website, which means when I say more traffic, more people trying to buy the product, or more people trying to hit your website. So with that, which means there is a more load on server, and in order to handle that traffic, you need to always keep some buffer. Let's say right now you are running with just 2 servers, and keeping that additional traffic in future, you probably want to add 2 more servers. So altogether 4 servers, just to accommodate that increased traffic during those particular events. And third thing is, like, now you already have your infrastructure up, and you need someone to monitor that infrastructure and maintenance of your server. So for example, you need a good AC for those servers, and you may need some system admin, or like some sort of monitoring and maintenance you will need. Maybe let's say UPS. You want those servers to be up and running, like considering the power outages and all that. So you need to invest in the UPS and AC and all those things. So that's how without cloud computing, things are getting done. All right. So what's the disadvantage? So someone will say everything looks good, but what's the problem with this kind of model? So first thing is, this setup is expensive. So when I say expensive, those servers that you're going to buy, those are not cheap. Those are expensive. And you're not just buying 1 server or 2 server. You're buying a bunch of those. So that whole setup is expensive, and not just servers. Now, I already told you, like, you need to invest in like UPSs and maybe a data center, and then those all sort of things, like invest into an AC and everything. That's so altogether that particular setup is expensive. Second thing is, the troubleshooting problems can be tedious and may conflict with your business goals. So now things keep on growing and growing, and like if there is an issue and something breaks down, the troubleshooting part will take some time. And in today's world, everything is like, it has to be running all the time. So if you might have heard, like if particular e-commerce website is down for 5 minutes, or not even 5 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, they're losing money. So that's what it is talking about. And the third thing is, since the traffic is varying, your service will be ideal most of the time. So I already gave an example, like you have a website, it works fine just with 2 servers, and keeping the Diwali sale into mind, you bought 2 extra servers, and so Diwali will come just once in a year. Or let's say you plan to have at least 2 or 3 sale event into the whole year. So basically you'll be using those additional 2 servers only for that particular time. And most of the time, those additional 2 servers, they are just sitting idle. They are not doing anything. So whatever money you spend on it is just sitting idle there in term. So how we handle these things using cloud computing. So what we do now with cloud is you put all your data on cloud servers and no more buying expensive servers. So it's think of this like in renting a car. So you right now you wanted to do something, let's say like when you want to go from point A to point B, and what you do is just, if you don't have a car, you just book a cab through Ola or Uber. You pay them money, you go from point A to point B, and you're done. So that's how this thing is. Like if you put all your data, you no longer buy the expensive servers, you put all your data on those cloud servers, and that's it. So you're not buying any servers, you're just renting the servers, like the servers. Next thing is scalability. So what scalability is, your server capacity will vary according to traffic. So what does that mean is, we already talked about it. So scalability means what? Like let's say everything is working fine with just one server, and there is a increased traffic to your website, and then you can automatically add a second server, and now you can handle that extra traffic. Again, there's more traffic. You can go up to let's say hundreds of servers in a fraction of a second, or like in minutes, and that's it. And if you're done, you can always scale back. So there are 2 things: scale up and scale down. So when I say scale up, which means you're adding the numbers of servers, and if you're scaling down, which means if you're done with that additional work, you are scaling down. Means you'll just reduce the numbers of servers that you're using. And the third thing is your cloud provider will manage all your servers, which means like they are taking care of all that AC units, the data center, that UPS and all that. So basically you don't have to worry about any infrastructure. Your cloud provider is taking care of that. All right. So if you want me to put a definition that what is cloud computing, then we can put it as like this. It is the use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage, and process the data rather than a local server or your personal computer. So what is cloud computing? A textbook definition would be like using the remote servers for what? And where are they? They're on internet. And how are you going to use those? To store, to manage, and process the data rather than using your local server or personal computer. All right. I hope everyone is getting there. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or put it into a chat window. All right. So far, no questions. All right. So looks like we can move on to the next slide. So these are the few names for cloud providers. You may have heard of major names like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, GCP, Microsoft Azure. But here are the other names like DigitalOcean, Rackspace, VMware, Terramark, Joint, IBM Cloud. And there are other cloud providers too. All right, so these are just like few names to provide here. So as there are so many players in this cloud computing business or cloud computing technologies, Amazon leads this 100 billion cloud market. So this is again little old slide. This 100 billion cloud market is now like it's more than that. But anyway, Amazon leads this market of cloud computing. So if you see this chart here, you see Amazon Web Services, they have 33% of market share. And next to them is Microsoft Azure with 18% market share. And next to them is Google Cloud. And you see Microsoft Azure is like almost 50% behind than Amazon. Again, like everyone is catching up. It's not like now Microsoft Azure is also catching up with Amazon, but at the same time, AWS is also moving forward. So, but that will just tell you that the cloud market is growing and growing, and there's a huge opportunity for that. And all right. So why should I learn cloud computing, and especially AWS cloud computing? So cloud is the future. There is no way getting around of it. So if any of you work in, I saw a few answers that they are already in the, they're already working professional. They must be working in IT industry, as that's why they joined this webinar or this introductory course. And they already know that cloud is the future. There is no way you can get around from it. And expertise. So when I say cloud is the future, what does that mean is now expertise in the cloud computing is inevitable for the RD professionals. So if you don't pick on the cloud computing technology right now, in next 3, 4, 5 years, you will be obsolete. That means you have to, especially in this IT industry, the skills and market and technology is changing so fast. So if you don't keep up yourself with the latest trend, you'll be obsolete. And why AWS? So one thing for sure is that you need to know, or you need to learn the cloud computing. But I'll say why AWS, because we already saw that in the earlier slide that AWS is leading this market with already 33% market share. And now if you research the job market, you'll see there are so many AWS jobs, but very few people with the AWS skills, which means there is high demand for AWS skill set, but there are very few people with those skills. And AWS is most widely used platform in cloud adoption. So now as all those IT industries or companies, they are moving into cloud, majority of them is using AWS, and they are growing so fast. And the last thing is, of course, very high compensation. And because why? I said because there are so many companies moving to cloud, and they are looking for people with AWS skill set, but there are very few people who know about it. So they have to end up like they have to pay the very high salary or high compensation to those folks. All right. Any questions? All right. So there is one question by Harshvardhan, that what is meant by cloud. So we already talked about it, and we'll go into so with cloud, basically what you is going to do is, rather than you're just renting the space, renting the servers, renting the services from the cloud provider. So it's not a physical device or physical server sitting in your house or sitting in your office. So it's rather hosted somewhere. We'll go into more detail. If it's still not clear to you, we'll go more into more detail in our next slides. All right. So this is the certification path with AWS. So AWS, they provide like 4 sets of certifications. So one is foundational, second is associate, third is professional, and the last one is specialty. So foundational is the cloud practitioner. So that's like in first exam for pretty much everyone. So it's not mandatory to give, but with cloud practitioner, as the name suggests, it's pretty much a basic course that it will give you a brief idea like what is cloud, what are the different services that AWS offer. So if you do this course, AWS Cloud Practitioner, and then you know like the basic things. So let's say if there is a conversation going on in your team or something about cloud, or even just outside like in your friend circle or something, and they're talking about cloud, and if you are done with this course, then you can easily interact with them, so you'll understand what they're talking about. You don't have to be really technical or anyone. So this will just kind of give you a high level of overview. It will tell you about like how cloud works, what's the cloud architecture, and all those different things. So it's very foundational. Then the next one is associate, and there are 3 different flavors to it. One is like solution architect, second one is SysOps administrator, and third one is developer. So solution architect is more of a person who will architect, like let's say there is a company, they want to do some things into the cloud. So the solution architect's job will be like, he or she will tell them that, hey, if you want to achieve this, let's say, then you will need, let's say, 10 servers, and you need this kind of database. You need to have your server in this zone and this availability area and all those sort of things. And so basically, a solution architect is a person who will architect the infrastructure for a company. All right, then the next thing is like system administrator and a developer. So as the name says, developer, which means like someone is a programmer, and they will use all those different AWS services to develop the code or deploy an application into AWS. And sysop administrator, as the name says, is more of an administrator type of person who will manage the infrastructure, like say patching and different sort of things. All right. And the third one is professional. So professional, as the name says, like you are now expert and you know more AWS service and all that. So again, AWS solution architect professional. And if you combine both sysops and developer, DevOps. Again, DevOps is a really hot trend in today's market, and we'll talk about it later. That's not the scope of this today's lecture. And the last one is specialty. There are 6 different flavors to it, like database, data analytics, machine learning, Alexa skill builder, security, and advanced networking. Looking at our current students, so I don't think any of you need to go to specialty at this moment. So I'll say first start with foundational or maybe an associate, and then you can move on to other different areas. All right. So someone asked, like, can I start from scratch now? Yes, that's the whole purpose of this course or today's course, that give you an high level idea about cloud computing and all that. And yeah, it's pretty basic. So anyone can do it. You just need to have some basic IT knowledge to start. So yes, anyone can start learning about it. All right. So I'll skip this slide. This is not related for you. But anyway, I'll just go through it. Never mind. So the Cloud Practitioner exam is multiple choice, multiple answer. Exam time is 90 minutes for 65 question. Exam cost is $100. And you can take exam from home. So I know this is the case for US, and I'm not so sure about how it's being conducted in India, but I'm pretty much sure it's the same, that you can just take the exam from your home. But you need to, if you're planning to give the exam, you need to check on that, because I see most of you, everyone is from India who is attending this course. And exam code is CLFC01. All right. We already talked about it, this AWS Cloud Practitioner. This certification provides individuals in larger variety of cloud and technology roles with a way to validate their AWS cloud knowledge to enhance their professional credibility. It will give you high level overview of AWS services. It's very foundational AWS certification. And you see, it's very important before you jump on to your next levels like associate and a specialist. So this is really a beginner's course, and I will suggest everyone who is interested should start with the AWS Cloud Practitioner. This is a great place to start your AWS journey. All right. Any questions so far? If anyone wants to talk, you can raise your hand and I can allow you to chat or talk. If not, then we can move forward. All right, so I'll just give you an overview of the Cloud Practitioner exam. So you see here, we already talked about it. This is the level is foundational. The length is 90 minutes. Means the duration of your exam cost is $100. Right. And you'll have 65 questions. You can go through like either Pearson VUE or PSI. I can give you this link into the chat window. So, all right. So cloud computing has 3 different models. So infrastructure as a service, as platform as a service, PaaS, and software as a service, SaaS. You must have heard a lot of you must have heard SaaS lots of time. All right, we'll just go through each, that what is IaaS, what is PaaS, and what is SaaS. So let's start with infrastructure as a service. So with IaaS, you rent IT infrastructure like servers and virtual machines, storage, networks, operating system from cloud provider and pay as you go basis. And AWS EC2 is one of the example for it. So if you don't know what is AWS EC2, don't worry about it. We'll just cover that a little later. So what does IaaS means is, let's take, for example, let's take a taxi. So you want to go from point A to point B, you book the cab, you just call the Uber come to your doorstep in 5 minutes, you take the cab, you go from point A to point B, you're done, you pay the money, and that's it, you're done. You're done with your job, you just pay the money to the cab. You're not driving the taxi, you're not putting the petrol into that, you're not doing any maintenance on that cab. Basically, you just rented it, you are done, and that's it. So that's what infrastructure is. So like you need a server, you will rent it from the cloud provider, you are done with your use, you'll just terminate the server. So that's what IaaS is, infrastructure as a service. So if anyone asks you like what is IaaS, think of text example and it will be more clearer to you. And AWS EC2 is one of the example for IaaS. The next is platform as a service. So platform as a service refers to cloud computing services that supply an on-demand environment for development, testing, delivering, and managing the software application. So AWS Lambda is one of the example for platform as a service. So let's use again similar example, that rental car is an example. So let's say you wanted to go for a vacation and you wanted some nice convertible car, but you don't have to own. So now what you'll do is, okay, you're going for a vacation for a 1 week. So you'll rent that a nicer Mustang, let's say nicer Mustang, and you go to a vacation. So now what you're doing is you are driving that car. You're putting the fuel into that car. You're using it for a week, and now you're putting the fuel. Earlier example, you were not putting fuel there. Someone else's was driving it for you. But now with this rental car is, now you have this nicer car. Now you rented it for a little longer, and now you're driving it, you're putting fuel into it, and that's what you can simulate. This is kind of an example like with PaaS. So with PaaS is like, but if something goes wrong with that car, you're not responsible for it. It's like the sum from where the party from where you rented your car. So that's what more of a PaaS is. So if you read this, like PaaS is designed to make it easier for developers to quickly create web or mobile apps without worrying about setting up or managing the underlying infrastructure of servers, storage, network, databases needed for the development. The last thing is now software as a service. So before I jump into more things, so if you don't understand all those things at this moment, that's totally fine. I see most of you are doing engineering at this moment. If you don't understand a few of these terms, that's totally fine. You will eventually get it. So, but these are the key terms you need to understand. Then it will be easier for you going forward. So now software as a service is a method for delivering software applications over the internet on demand and typically on a subscription basis. With SaaS, cloud providers host, manage the software application and underlying infrastructure and handle any maintenance like software upgrades, security patching, and so on. So organization in it, that's one of the service organizations. That's an example of SaaS. So again, a good example is like a bus. So with bus, let's say with bus, you can do the same thing. Like you can go from point A to point B, but with bus is more like it will not come to your doorstep. So bus, it will have a designated stops. So you have to go to that particular stop, go there, the bus will come, you'll go hop onto a bus, and then you will opt down to add your destination, you'll pay the ticket price, and at the same time, there are other folks traveling into the bus. And again, you're not responsible for driving the bus, doing the maintenance of a bus. So SaaS is somewhat similar to that example. So as we go more deeper, so right now, just keep this example into the mind. So when I say as, just keep the example we gave, what example we use. When we talked about SaaS, we talked about bus as an example. So right now, just keep those examples into our mind. And when you actually start using those services, let's say we talked about AWS EC2 or organization AWS Lambda, then it will click you. Oh, now it makes sense, like why we use that example and all that. All right. So this is like in a diagram, it will tell you. So you see with as, what falls under as, you see servers and storage, networking, firewalls, security, and data center, physical plant or building. So with as, like if I guess most of you know like what is data center or something. Like with data center, it's more like a room where you have stacks of servers and everything. So that will fall under as. And when I say networking, firewall, security, like we talk about routers and switches and firewalls, that will again fall under as. Servers and storage, like different types of storage, RAID, like SSDs, that will again fall under as. But now if you see platform as a service, so under platform as a service, as is a part of PaaS, but at the same time, you see operating systems and development tools like database management and business analytics, they will fall under PaaS. Let's say a Windows operating system, a Linux operating system. So they will again fall under PaaS. So patching them, like upgrading and all those sort of things. And if you see SaaS, software as a service, it's the whole package now, combining PaaS and AS. And here, like hosted application and app. For example, so from this diagram, it will give you more detailed idea, like what is AS, what is PaaS, and what is SaaS. So if you look at this like diagram here, it will give you much clearer idea about it. All right. Any questions so far, or I hope everyone is following along. All right, I see, I don't see any questions, so let's move on. So there are three types of different deployment models. So now we are talking about cloud, but how we really use it, like how we deploy it. So there are like three different deployment models. So first is on-premise, that is private cloud. Second one is hybrid, and third is public cloud. So let's talk about that in detail. So on-premise or private cloud is basically a private cloud is a cloud service that is not shared with any other organization. The private cloud user has the cloud to themselves. And which means that let's say here's the company A and this is company A's private cloud. So no one else is sharing it. So only the company A uses it. All right. And what's the benefit of on-premise or private cloud is you have full control over the infrastructure and responsible for management. And so this is more of for a security purpose. Like if any strict, very confidential information or whatever, that particular company doesn't want other folks to share that infrastructure, they will have their own private cloud environment. So that's what on-premise or private cloud is, right? So the next one is hybrid cloud. So you see hybrid cloud. So it's mix of both on-premise and cloud. So resources and infrastructure is split. You see the resources and infrastructure split between on-premise and public cloud. Can be intermediate while you fully migrate to AWS. So for example, let's say there is a company, they are fully on-premise and now they want to switch to the cloud. So they will not do everything in one shot. So they will say, like, let's say they have 10 different things to move to the cloud. So they will start one by one. So let's move one thing first, then second. So when they do that, so let's now select, to begin with, they had 10 services, or let's say 10 things. totally hosted on premise. But now we started to migrate. Now 2 services in the cloud, 8 services on premise. So eventually, like they'll fully migrate to the cloud. So that kind of scenario will fall under hybrid cloud. Or another thing is like store sensitive data on premise. So some companies, they don't want their data on cloud. So they want like full control of their data. So they'll say, okay, we'll use cloud for other stuff, for no, let's say for emails or whatever, like development and all that. But we will store all our data into our local infrastructure or on our on-premise infrastructure, but they both can talk to each other. So that's where you need hybrid cloud. Another thing is disaster recovery, which means, let's say something happens, there's an earthquake or there is a flooding, and your on-premise infrastructure goes down. There is no electricity or your data center gets flooded. But now, as a backup, you can have a cloud infrastructure, and your customers now they can use the cloud infrastructure and your business is still running. Other way is like something happens with the cloud, your on-premise infrastructure is up and running and your business is going on. All right. So those are the different use cases for hybrid cloud. And the third one is like public cloud. Application are deployed in a cloud. All components required application are run in the cloud. So it's public cloud means everything is in the cloud and all other people, they are sharing that particular public cloud. All right. So we went through some important theory. It may be interesting for a few folks. It might be boring for some folks, but I'll say that's really important to understand those basic concepts. All right. So we know all this theory. Then next thing is hands-on, like how, okay, we talked about all the theory, but we now wanted to do some hands-on. We wanted to do some, you are talking about renting a server. It doesn't make sense. Someone asked like, what is cloud? We talk so much about cloud, but I still don't get it. What is cloud? You're talking about renting a server, like how to do that. So that's where, in order to do that, you need to create your AWS account. All right, this is the link to create your free account. So Amazon is pretty generous and they give you 1 year of, like you can do, your initial account will be free for 1 year. You can do a bunch of different things for free. And for that, you need to create your account here by going to this link. This link, you can get, so whatever links I'm sharing or talking about, they are already into the Facebook group. But again, I'll try to post it into the WhatsApp group. All right. So in order to do some hands-on, as like I said, you need to create your own AWS account. So these are the screenshot. I'm not going to walk you through like an actual account creation process. So what I did was actually, rather than, I took some screenshot, and that way it will be easier for you to navigate. All right. So you see, its AWS account includes 12 months of free tier access. So there are so many things you can do for free in AWS 1 year. So first thing first, like you have to put in your email address, then you hit next. Then you have to put again your email address, password, confirm password. You can give any name to your AWS account. And then you click on continue. You have to put all this again details here, like account type, professional, personal, all your personal details. Yeah, and payment information, that you have to put in your credit card or debit card number here. So they will not charge you because I'm pretty sure most of the things are free. And if you are preparing for your certification and all those sort of things, I'm pretty sure you will not go over the limit. So this information is basically for somehow accidentally you overuse the services, or basically you use the paid services, that's when they can charge you here. but I never seen like students going or over the limit unless they are doing some crazy stuff. All right. Then just normal things like you have to put in your phone number and that captcha and all those security things. All right. Once your identity is verified, your account will be ready. And it will ask you at the end, like select the support plan. There are three different plans, like basic plan, developer plan, and a business plan. You certainly don't need a business plan. You can, again, I don't think any of you will need the developer plan. So the best, just choose the free one, which is free. Like you don't have to pay a single penny for it to get started. Just pick the free option, and then you're done. Then you sign into your console, and this is how the console will look like. So let me show you the console real quick. So this is how the console look like. So I'm in the AWS console, and this is the AWS console will look like. And you see here, if I click on services, so there are so many services that AWS provides. So let's say, see compute, containers. So containers is like we talked about DevOps, right? Containers, like this is really hot trend in today's world. So the working professional must know like the Kubernetes and Dockers and all those things, different storage services, S3 and all that, databases, migration, and there are so many things that AWS provides. And you see IoT and machine learning and all analytics, business applications, and yeah, you can do so many things, blockchain, robotics with AWS. All right, so let's jump back to the presentation. So now you're done with creation of your account. Now you need some computer to access that. So if you have a Windows machine, you need to have the PuTTY in order to SSH to your servers. So you can download the PuTTY from this link. And for some basic other things, like you will need to download Notepad++. Notepad+++ is not really mandatory or required. You can use any text editor, but PuTTY is very important application or software in order to you access your application, your servers in AWS. If you have a Mac, then you can use the built-in terminal app to SSH to your servers. And text editor, you can just Google, get any free one like TextMate or TextWrangler or something like that. All right. So let me give you a quick demo about, like we talked about renting a server and all that. So for that, let me go back to the AWS. So we'll go to the EC2. So EC2 is Elastic. E stands for Elastic, and there are two C, that's why it says C2. Elastic. So, all right, so Elastic Cloud Compute. And here it's basically nothing but a virtual machine or a server. So see, right now I don't have anything here. So I needed a server. So let's say I want to create my web server or something, and I wanted to have a server. And with this, basically, I don't need to go somewhere to buy an actual server. So right now I can do is I can just come to AWS and, hey, I need to do something and I need particular Linux server. So here, this is one of the service, EC2. So here I'll go to launch instance, and it will give you different operating systems. So see Red Hat, Mac OS, Mac OS Big Sur, Amazon Linux, Ubuntu, Windows. These are the different operating systems here, server and all that. And like from AWS Marketplace, there are like Juniper, Cisco, and all those different things like AMIs out there. So here I'll just pick free tier, and you should do that too while you are studying for it or preparing for the exam. So that way you'll just make sure that you are not using any service that will cost you some extra money. All right. So before I jump in there, I see there are a few questions. So let me first check. So someone is asking, can you share the PPTs on WhatsApp group? Yeah, I can certainly share that. So another question, how many storages are queue? So there are different storage services. We will go that into detail for that. Yeah, but there are different storage services from AWS. So someone is asking what time the lecture will end. So yeah, soon after this demo, I'll end the lecture. All right, so, okay. So here, this is really important demo because I wanted to show you some hands-on, like, and not just give you some theory. So I'll just pick the Amazon Linux here. This is nothing, okay. So now the next thing is ask you choose an instance type. So there are different instance type, like you see family under family, T2, then T3A, and all those. Like, let's say for T2 instance, the CPU is 1, memory is 1 gigabyte. And if you scroll down, you see for this particular instance, T2 medium, CPU are 2, memory is like 8. So depending on your need, like what you need, you have to pick this server. So this is kind of, right now what we are doing is we are just renting a server from AWS. And depending on a need, so if you're creating some simple application, you just need to go with the basic one. But if you scroll down, there are different things. Like you see this instance has like 8 virtual CPUs and 32 gigabit of RAM and so on. So there are different types of all the instances. All right. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. So next thing is like configure instance details. So next thing is, this is again, I will not go into detail of each options. So here is now basically telling you which VPC and subnet and all those things to configure. So right now I'll just go with the default settings. And then next is storage. So here someone asked about storage. This is now we are talking about, again, this is a different storage that like you're having, it's like an hard disk for your virtual machine. So you see there are like 5 different types. SSD, 2 major differences, like 3 actually, SSD and 2 magnetic and SSD. And in SSD there are 4 different types. All right, so right now I'll just go with the default and you can choose encryption and all that. Next is add tags. So tags is basically giving some namings to it. So for example, I can give it a name, like I'll get a name, demo C2. So these tags will be useful when you work in an actual environment. The next thing is security group. So what does security group is, like who can access to your server. So right now what it says, like we are now allowing SSH or protocol TC2 port 22 in source, like cust source. So when it says 00, it's a wildcard. So any IP from outside world can SSH to my instance. And then review and launch, just make sure everything is correct and now launch. And it asks you about a key pair. So this is more about encryption, like public key, private key. I'll not go into again, so you will not understand it, but it's about something to do with security. So right now I'll just say proceed without a key pair and launch instance. So see, now what we wanted was, we wanted an server to do our job. We wanted a Linux server to do some stuff. And rather now we went to AWS and tell, hey, I need a server. And in a matter of a minute, now AWS, we are renting that particular server from AWS. And now see, it's spinning that virtual machine for us. So see, instance state is pending. So in the background, AWS is giving us that instance. It's spinning that instance. So in next 30 seconds or minute, it will be completely ready. So again, now AWS, they have like different regions. So you see here, this is for US, then for Africa and Canada, Middle East, and all Asia Pacific. So they have one in Mumbai. All right, so you see instance state is running, which means your server is ready. And here I can just use the browser way to connect to it. So there are multiple ways you can connect to it. So session manager through SSH client and serial console. So right now I'll just use the browser method. So see, your server is ready. And you saw that just in a matter of minutes, your server was ready. So let's say I'm a developer or something, I'll just do my job on this server. Okay, I'm done with my job. And now I'll just go back. Okay, I no longer need it. Here I'll just select it. And I'll say see instance type. So I'll say stop instance, which means I'll just shut it down. It's a pay-as-you-go model. Means you use it for 1 hour, you'll get charged for 1 hour. You use it for 1 minute, you'll get charged for 1 minute. So if you stop it, which means if you're not using it, you don't have to pay. And then you can just terminate it. Okay, I just no longer need this at all. So, which means you're just deleting it. And soon it will get deleted. So this is what I was talking earlier, that you are just renting. And this is just one example. You're renting the server space. There are so many other things you can do. There are so many services. You can just go to AWS and use those services. Once you're done, that's it. All right. So that's all for today's thing. This was just an introductory day one. And in tomorrow's lecture, I'll just go into more details, and from there we'll just see how it goes. All right. Anyone have any more questions, or if someone wants to talk, like they are not comfortable chatting, so you can raise your hand and you can talk. I'll give you permissions to talk. All right, so I don't see any questions, or let's see. All right, so if there are no more questions, so that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.